Now we are back live on Instagram. So shout out to everybody on Periscope. Tap the screen. Can I get some heart action going on Periscope? I know I ain't been talking for the last 3 minutes. We just letting this IG come back on. But y'all can still tap the screen. We get some heart action going here. Let's see if we got IG back where it's supposed to be. If you can hear me and see me on Instagram, please leave a comment and let me know. Who knows what happened? Internet happened. Instagram happened. No, Instagram might have kicked me off because they figured I was about to say something critical about Dave Chapelle. I think that might be why that happened. So as y'all coming back in on Instagram, please tap the screen, leave a comment, let me know that you can hear me and see me, and I'm gonna get right back to where I was at. All right, so for those who missed the beginning, all right, everybody got me. So we're talking about Dave Chapelle. So Dave Chapelle he did some show, and he's talking about the fact that his show, Chappelle's show, the show that he blew up off of, is being streamed on these streaming platforms, particularly Netflix, and he's not getting paid for it. So he was talking this up, and he's talking about, yeah, I signed a contract, so they get to make money off it. And he said, well, that's how it works, right? But then he said, but is it right? And the audience is like, hell no, that's not right. And he's playing the audience up that, is it right for them to make money off it, and I'm not able to make money off my own work? And the audience is like, no, you deserve to make money off your own work. He got the whole audience behind him and all this. And what Dave started doing, and this is where I got cut off, I think Instagram got mad at me for what I said, is he started playing the victim card. And I'm not fond of people playing the victim card. I'm not the type of person who is going to play the victim card, but I don't know. I might need to reassess the way I look at the victim card, because this should be working. Like, people playing the victim card, this works. So if somebody comes out and says, well, it's all men, they got chosen for this, so, and there's a woman, then that works. And then people get behind the woman, and the woman gets like the biggest part of, or the biggest attention of her career just by shouting out that all the men got all the attention. Or a black person says all these white people getting attention, and then a black person gets all the attention, the biggest attention of their career. Dave Chapelle is about to get a deal with Netflix and get paid for his own show that he didn't have contractual rights to because he played the victim card. This is going to work. I'm more than 50% sure that this is going to work for Dave Chapelle when he played the victim card. This works nowadays, that if you play the victim and you get an audience, a crowd behind you, especially if you are female or minority, and if you're female and minority, then forget about it. You can play the victim card every day, and you can play the victim card your way to $1 billion. But right now, Dave Chapelle, he's male, so he ain't got the whole package, but he got half of it. He's black, and he can play the victim card, and this is going to work because a whole audience of people have been, I don't know how this happened or when it happened, but it has absolutely happened that if you paint yourself as a victim well enough to an audience, the audience gets behind you because you are the victim of a situation that just seems maybe is unfair. I mean, some things in life are just inherently unfair, but Dave Chappelle is about to make this work on his behalf. So even though I'm pointing out that he played the victim, and he absolutely is, and whenever he did that, this shit might work. So if you can play the victim and do it strategically, then I can't be mad at you, because at the end of all of it, the purpose of the game is to produce a result. So if you get the result by being strong and standing your ground, that's one thing. If you get the result by playing the victim and presenting yourself as someone who's being taken advantage of, that's another thing. But guess what? Both of them end up in the exact same place, which is you getting the result. Now, if you're willing to do that to get what you want to get, then Dave Chapelle, shout out to you. And I think this is going to work for Dave Chapelle. However, let's talk about what's actually happened here so far, because that part didn't happen. So Dave Chappelle's show, as popular as it is, the streams on Netflix, Dave doesn't make any money off the show. So he was complaining to his audience. He said it in the form of a joke, and he made it sound like he was, being strong about it, but he was actually complaining. He made it sound like he was making a demand, but he was not, because he doesn't have the power to make a demand. But maybe he does. This is the point that I want to make here. He got Netflix to take the show off of Netflix. So right now, after that came out, whenever this happened, Netflix agreed to pull the Chappelle show off of streaming on Netflix. So you cannot watch the Chappelle show on Netflix, at least according to what I saw in the news reports that I read, that Netflix did take the show down. So what is going to happen here, here's the part that people are going to get confused by. People are going to look at that clip from Dave Chapelle, and there are clips out there where they took like 2 minutes. The whole thing is like 18 minutes. So watch the whole thing so you can hear everything that he says. And that's what I did. That's how I am talking about this. But people are going to watch the 2-minute clip of him saying that it's wrong and Netflix is making money off his show and he's not. And then they're going to see the news, the fact that Netflix took the show down, and they're going to put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, he saw something that he thought it was wrong, even though contractually they were doing exactly what they're allowed to do. But then he complained about it. He played the victim, and then they took it down. So obviously, playing the victim and complaining works even if you don't have it on the contract. Even if the contract says we make money and you don't, if you bitch about it and you get loud enough bitching about it and you get enough people amplifying the fact that you're bitching about it, then everything will work in your favor. And this is how people are going to get fooled, and this is how more and more people are going to get into this complaining thing, this playing the victim card that seems to be a very popular thing to do these days. Here's, on the surface, people will think that, and they're going to think that they're correct because they can just put two and two together, as I just explained. But here's the part that people are missing. And here's the thing that I really want you to notice here, and this is where we really get into work on your game philosophy. The reason why Netflix took Dave's show off the air is not because Dave complained about his show being on the air and him not getting paid. Netflix did not take the Dave Chapelle show off of Netflix because they felt bad for Dave Chapelle. All right, now again, Dave Chappelle's his stand-up makes you think they took it down because he felt bad about it and he felt it wasn't right and he felt he deserved to be making money off it, and now they took it down. That is not why they took the show down. The reason Netflix took his show off the air on Netflix is because Dave Chapelle still makes money for Netflix. That's why they took the show down. If Dave Chapelle was dead and one of Dave Chappelle's kids, now I'm not wishing that he dies. If Dave Chapelle was dead and one of Dave Chappelle's kids start saying, my family doesn't make any money off the fact that Dave Chappelle's show is streaming on Netflix. My dad's dead, but his show is streaming on Netflix and we don't make any money off it. And one of his kids started a hashtag for that. Netflix would not take that show off the air. All right, if Dave Chapelle lost his voice and he couldn't speak anymore and he wrote it out in Braille, or he posted a written something that said, I don't make any money off my Netflix show and I can't speak anymore, so I can't make any money off my comedy career, Netflix will not take the show down. The only reason Netflix took that show down is because Dave Chapelle has leverage with Netflix, and his leverage is Dave Chapelle is still delivering results for Netflix, i.e. he helps Netflix make money. The reason Netflix is okay with losing the money that they won't get, because now people can't watch the Chappelle show, they're all right with that because they're going to make more money on the back end off of the next Chappelle special, his next comedy show, and the next deal they do with him, and the next contract they sign with him. And they're willing to work with him on it only because he's still making them money. Not out of the kindness of their hearts, not because it's the wrong thing to do, not because he bitched about it, not because he played the victim card. And this is the part that I really want people to understand. Do not be fooled by the fact that Dave Chapelle complained and played the victim and then he got what he wanted. That's not why he got it. And if you listen to this clip from his show, the 18-minute clip, Dave gets all defiant at the end. I mean, he's performing. He's a comedian, and I like Dave Chapelle. He's performing, but he starts to get into this, well, it's not right, and they don't give me my money, then fuck them, and all those white people in the corporate office, fuck them, and if my agent doesn't want to help me, fuck him. And Dave makes it seem like, as I'm listening to it, he made it seem like he's the one calling the shots, when actually he's the weakest person in the entire situation. He has the least amount of power of anybody, but he made it sound like he has the power, and he has his audience eating out of his hand, like, yeah, Dave, yeah, get what you want, it's your right, it's your work, you deserve to get paid for it. No, you don't deserve shit. If you signed a contract, you deserve what you signed a contract for. And the contract says you have given up rights to whatever comes along in the future, you signed a contract. So as I said on Twitter, Dave should have got off the phone with Netflix and he should have called his agent and say, damn, dude, you got me signed to this contract and now I'm losing all this money. How do we work this out? So, and he did mention that he went to Netflix and said, hey, how can we work this out? That's really why they said, we'll take it down, because they're like, all right, we'll work this out. We'll help you get some money off the Chappelle show that we own. You don't own none of it. We'll help you get some money off it, help you get some money off your name. And he even said, if I go start my own show, I can't even call it Chappelle show because they own my name and they own my likeness. So I can't even use that to make my next show. That's not Netflix's fault. I mean, that's a contract that you sign. Now, am I saying that is necessarily the perfect setup? Not necessarily. But look, if you sign a contract, athletes sign contracts, authors sign contracts, models, actors, teachers, people who have jobs, everybody signs contracts. And the company that you work for, whoever owns the land, they make more money off of your work than you make off of your work. That's just the way that it works. Any influencer on Instagram makes more money off them than they make off Instagram. This works for everybody. Every YouTuber, YouTube makes more off you than you make off YouTube. There's nobody making more money than the owner of the land. All right, it doesn't work like that. It never has, and it never will. So Dave coming out and again playing it up to the audience that he's calling the shots in the situation when he ain't calling a damn thing is going to mislead some people. I want to make sure people understand how this is actually working. Dave only was able to make that happen because he has leverage. His ability to help Netflix make more money in the future. Do not think, if you're watching this and maybe you end up in a situation like Dave, maybe as a comedian, maybe as something else, do not think that doing what Dave did in this situation is going to work in your favor unless you have the type of leverage that Dave Chapelle has. In other words, do you have another way to help that company make the money that they're going to lose by doing what you ask them to do? So the money Netflix loses by taking that show off the air, they're going to make it back off the next show Dave Chapelle does that they're going to produce, and they're going to make their money back off that. So they're going to make the same amount of money either way. They're just making it in different areas. They're going to make some from this show and lose some from this show. And then to the public, Dave Chapelle and his fans are going to make it seem like, oh, because he said that on his show, all of a sudden Netflix did what he told them to do. Listen, Dave Chapelle don't call no shots at Netflix. All right. And I want to make sure everybody understands that. Now, when Dave gets a more fair deal, it's going to be make noise and you get fairness. That's bullshit. That is not what happened. He gets what he wants because, this is the key, his ability to deliver results. When you deliver results, you can negotiate. When you can deliver results, you can go to a company and say, yo, I don't really like the way this is set up. What can we work out? How can we make this work? Can we renegotiate this deal? The only way that can happen is if you're still delivering results. It's like years ago, it was this rap group signed to Bad Boy with Puff Daddy called The Lox. And they signed like a 7-album contract with Puff. And then they left Bad Boy after 1 album and they went and signed with Interscope. And then years later they were complaining. They were like, yo, we're not making any money off the records that we put out. And they're like, no, Puff Daddy owns all our publishers. So every time we make money, he's making the bulk of the money off of us. We're not even making money off our own work. And it's not right. He stole from us. He signed us to bad contracts, this and that. And Puff came up there. He came up to the radio late the next day and he's like, yo, look, first of all, y'all signed a contract. Second of all, you broke the contract. So for you to break the contract, you had to pay. And your payment was, I got to make my money back off of what I would have made. I signed y'all to a contract. I put y'all in the game. I helped y'all get hot. I helped y'all build a fan base. Now you're just going to leave me and go make all your money with somebody else. Like, yo, you got to pay for that. If you sign a contract, you got to honor the contract or you got to pay your way out of a contract. This is just the way that it works in life. If you sign a lease for a car and you don't want the car anymore, you got to pay off the lease. You sign a lease for an apartment and you don't want to live there no more, you got to pay to break that lease. You can't just break a contract and say, all right, just give me what I want just because I complained to Twitter. That doesn't work like that. So the leverage that you had to deliver is your ability to, the leverage that you had to have is your ability to deliver. So what Puff was saying was, look, if I was an artist and I was signed to a 7-album contract, after my first album comes out and I sell 1 million records, I'm going to go to the company and I'm going to say, yo, can you take off one of those albums off my contract? So instead of it being a 7-album contract, let's make it a 6-album contract. And then when I sell some more records, I'm going to go back to them and say, let's make it a 5-album contract. Every time I have leverage, I've delivered again, I'm going to ask for a better deal. Every time I deliver, I'm going to ask to get a better situation. This is the way that it works in life. Every time you deliver and you show that you're good, your price can go up. You can ask for more. You can negotiate more. You can work out a better deal for yourself. You do not get better deals and get your way in life by complaining or bitching or hashtagging or protesting. That is not what actually works. Again, that's what you see. That's what seems like it's drawing all the attention. Drawing attention and getting results are two completely different things, ladies and gentlemen. And all that shit that Dave was talking on stage at the end of his show, and he's like, y'all gonna pay me or fuck you, fuck them, this and that. All right, that's just part of the act that makes it look like it's one thing, but it's actually another. So what's the moral of this whole story of everything that I just said? You want power, you must deliver results. When you are delivering results, you have power, you can call shots, you can ask for what you want, and you can get what you want. If you're not getting what you want and you don't have the power to negotiate, nobody's returning your emails, nobody's taking your calls, it's probably because you are not producing results. As soon as you start producing results, leverage those results and get the things that you want, because as soon as you stop producing results, you go cold again and your phone stops ringing. That's the way that the game works. Like 50 Cent said in his song, if I get shot today, my phone will stop ringing again. And that's exactly what I'm saying about Dave Chapelle. You got to be delivering and you got to be doing so consistently. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you how to get this book free. If I can answer any questions about anything I just talked about, go ahead and post it in the comments section. This book right here is called The Mirror of Motivation, Self-Guidance, Self-Discipline. This is the first book of mine that you should read. I know a bunch of y'all got it. I'm going to tell you what to do if you already got this. But for the people who don't have it, you have goals in life and you're willing to do the work. I already know both of those to be true. The question you haven't asked yourself is, who do I need to be? What type of energy do I need to produce or bring with me to life? Who do I want to see when I look in the mirror? How do I want people to feel when they come across me? This book provides the frameworks for you to answer that question. So if you have this book and you haven't answered those questions or that question, you need to read the book again. This gives you the frameworks to get those answers. That's why it's called The Mirror of Motivation, because you're going to give yourself the answers. It is not about me telling you who to be, which wouldn't make sense anyway. Get the book free by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. That's mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is paid for. All you do is cover small shipping charge, and I ship it to you worldwide, anywhere you live. Again, mirrorofmotivation.com. All that said, today we are talking about Dave Chapelle and the Netflix situation that he was explaining there. He said he signed a contract, but then he said it's not right. Then he played the victim card, and his audience cheered for him. This is the thing that works these days. I'm not knocking it. If it works for you, then it works for you. Every man has their own way of doing things, and woman had their way of doing things. But he got them to take that show off only because he had leverage, not because he complained about it, not because he told them that they had to do it. He has no power, no leverage over Netflix. Reason he has some say with them is because he can help them make more money. If he wasn't hot anymore, then he wouldn't be able to do that. When he gets a more fair deal, which I do think he will, I think Netflix will work out a deal with him, and it will be news. And so Netflix looks good in the eyes of the public who's all into this victimhood mentality thing that seems to be very popular. It's trending these days. It will be announced when they work out a better deal. And everybody's going to say, oh, see, this is what Dave did. He complained, he got a better deal. That is not why he got a better deal. So make sure that you understand the real reason he got a better deal is because his ability to deliver results. Dave Chapelle can deliver 1 million eyeballs to watch him do a comedy show. That's why Netflix will give him what he wants. All that being said, let's see what we got in the comment section. If I can answer a question, go ahead and post it. Mozart said, white man trying to stop this lecture. We're not going to surrender. Well, it might have been Dave Chapelle. Dave Chapelle, black. Adrian Rincon was good. Young Bull was good. I appreciate you. Shout out to all my OG fans, like Young Bull. Sports Lover said, do you miss watching To Catch a Predator on NBC? I remember that show. I remember watching that back when I was like, that show was out in like the 90s. That show was out a minute ago. It was funny, actually. When the guy would come out, the news reporter dude would come out, because he came out like he was some kind of like investigator, but he was actually just a TV host. But they would get scared when he came out. They thought he was a cop. That show used to be funny though. Money said, didn't Dave Chapelle get blackballed by Oprah and Bill Cosby because they presumed he was tarnishing black American image with his content and material? I don't know. Oprah don't really have a show anymore, and Bill Cosby in jail. So does it even matter? Oprah ain't on TV no more. Bill Cosby locked up, and he probably gonna die in jail. So it don't really matter what they said. They ain't got the power no more. Dave Chapelle got more power than both of them. Sports Lover says, taken off air unjustly because a predator committed suicide. Is that what happened? I didn't know about that. Nando Hoop said, give Dave his loot. Yeah, he got the loot that he signed a contract for. I mean, if it's not in the contract, you can't really demand it. So that's the whole point that I'm making is going to make it seem like he demanded this money and then they paid him because he demanded it. Dave Chapelle can't demand shit from Netflix. Netflix does not need Dave Chapelle. How many shows is on Netflix right now? Like 1,000, 2,000? They don't need Dave Chapelle. Dave Chappelle is a drop in the bucket for them. But he needs that show because that show is that's his bread and butter. That's the thing that made him known. So he needs them more than they need him, even though his show makes it seem like the other way around. They'll accept that because he's funny and because he's making them money. Now, if he wasn't making Netflix money anymore and he said what he said on that stage, they blackball his ass and it'd be a wrap for Dave Chapelle. When I think about the series Cuties, I've never seen it before, so I don't really watch TV. I mean, even when Chappelle's show was out, I didn't even watch that much. That was when I was in college and my roommate was huge into that. He used to watch it all the time. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. So I knew about it, but I didn't even watch the Chappelle show when it was out. I watched a few of the episodes and I thought a couple of them was funny. I like The Real World. The real world, that one was funny. But all the other ones, I thought they was okay funny, but I didn't think they was like, oh my God, the craziest thing ever. I never really thought the Chappelle show was the greatest thing in comedy history, but I get it. I like Dave Chappelle's stand-up more than I like the stand-up more than I like the TV show. But that's just me. Question is, Did I watch Unforgiven? No, I don't even know what that is. I do not watch TV. So any of y'all ask me about anything on Netflix or TV, I do not watch TV. I be reading books, listening to podcasts, reading articles, and then I'm writing books, writing articles, and recording podcasts. I don't really do a lot of entertainment viewing, honestly. So any of y'all ask me about any of these TV shows, I don't know nothing about them. With all that being said, here's something I do know something about. The Mirror of Motivation. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. Get your free copy of this book. All you do is cover the shipping. I will ship this book to you worldwide, anywhere that you live. That's at mirrorofmotivation.com. Said Nano, Dave posted on his account explaining what happened. I just explained what happened. Did you listen to what I just said? I explained everything that happened. He talked about it on his, I think you're talking about the video that I just explained. So I think you came in late, Nando Hoop. So anyway, everybody, mirrorofmotivation.com. That's that. Next time I do live, maybe I'll talk about a more evergreen topic like I usually do. Maybe I'll talk about something like this if I see something that piques my interest. But we'll see. We'll decide day by day. Work on your game. We out. Dre all day.